On tonight's podcast, we're going to talk about something a little different. So strap in, mystery lovers. This is going to get strange. We're going to talk about government cover-ups, the Nazis, strange animals mutated by our very own government, and the source of one of the world's worst diseases, Lyme disease. If you haven't guessed it so far, we're going to be talking about Plum Island tonight. Strap in. It's going to be a good one. If you've never heard of Plum Island, it's an island off the coast of Long Island. It's about 1.5 miles. Now, I've made a bunch of notes, so if you're watching this on YouTube, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be looking at notes to make sure I get some of this information correct. But this story goes really, really deep, and it really makes you not trust the government. If you trust them, you probably won't after this podcast. But the United States Federal Research Facility dedicated to the study of foreign animal diseases of livestock is located on this island. It is also a national laboratory for the Department of Homeland Security. Are you scared yet? You should be. It also operates as a partnership with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, where our food comes from, our meat. The facility director is Dr. Larry Barnett. So here's where this really grabbed my attention. At the end of World War II, our government, the U.S. government, hired a Nazi by the name of Erich Throb. Now, Erich was known for doing human experimentations on people that were in Nazi Germany camps. They were doing medical experiments, and they used people from the concentration camps to do these experiments. So you would think somebody like this, the U.S. government, would execute or would throw in prison forever. That's not what they did. They gave him asylum. Between 1942 and 1945 is when they did these experiments. There were roughly 15,754 documented victims of this crime. That's a lot of people, folks. And for our government to turn a blind eye to that and to hire this guy makes you wonder why they wanted him so bad. We'll get into that in just a little bit, but it's really, really crazy. A quarter of the victims were killed, and the others survived with permanent damage, obviously. Makes you wonder what all they did. I didn't go too much into that, but you can research some of that information. He is often referred to as the godfather of Plum Island Laboratory. So from the research that I've done, they actually kind of made him director over this facility, which is really scary to think about. So he was the one that was dictating these experiments that they were doing on this island. According to a 2005 report by the GAO, Plum Island was known for doing experiments with pathogens, I'm not saying that right, with pathogens that can potentially cause fatal diseases, not in animals, but in humans, including the West Nile virus and the Rift Valley fever, just to name a few. That's scary, guys. That's really scary. Plum Island is also known for the start of the global pandemic of Lyme disease, one of the worst diseases that we have. If you don't know much about this disease, here's some information. This disease is transmitted through ticks, which there's ticks everywhere. And if you look at the map, if you pull up the map, this is really interesting. Right where Plum Island is located, it makes a V out from here. It starts there and it goes out. So our government created this disease with this Nazi, with Erich, and dropped it on its own citizens. That's our government, folks. That's not Germany, Nazi. That's not a third world country. That's not the Chinese. That's the American government that did that to its very own people back in the 50s. That's really, really scary. It was first introduced to a city off the coast not far from Plum Island called Old Lyme. Are you shocked yet? A staggering 476,000 people catch Lyme disease each year, experiencing things like pain, fatigue, difficulty thinking, and these symptoms, like I said, can last a lifetime. That enough, if that was all there was, that's enough to freak you out and make you not want to leave your house. I don't even know what to say about that, but researching this stuff, it's really kind of it's made me really upset and angry. Because, man, this is the greatest country in the world, and look what our government's doing to its very own people. Now, some people dispute this theory, and they said it's not what happened, but if you look at all the facts, it kind of makes sense. I was a cop for 16 years. I was a detective for some of that, and one of the things you do when you're working a case, you want to make sure all the facts line up, and these facts are lining up, guys. Things don't stop there. They get worse. And I honestly am a little bit scared to talk about this topic because you never know who's listening. And the government has worked really hard to keep some of these facts contained. And so it makes me a little nervous, but If you want to help me out with that, make sure you like and share this podcast, right? You want to share this and get this information out there. It's a really interesting mystery, and it really, really intrigues me. But in 1978, an unknown disease was released into animals outside of the center. The creatures were quickly eradicated, but to this day, no one is entirely certain if any actually made it past the island's borders. Reports of what actually happened have been classified by the intelligence department. I couldn't find anything on that. On that segment of the report, I was not able to find anything about this information. So wouldn't doubt if that's true because they've worked really hard to keep some of this information clamped tight. But 2 incidents in 2004 of foot and mouth disease being released in the center became national news. This is factual. Foot and mouth disease was eradicated in the U.S. as of 1929. If it's eradicated, why do we have it on the island? Why do we need it? The only known cases of this disease can be found in the stalks of Plum Island, and they killed all the animals off. Makes me wonder how that happened, if they purposely did that or if it was a breach. Wouldn't doubt it if it was a breach. It's probably not the securest facility. In 2008, the world was introduced to another mystery from Plum Island called the Montauk Monster. Now, if you've not seen this, you need to go look it up. It's the weirdest looking creature. I can't even describe to you what this thing looks like, but it washed up on the shore. I think they had 2 wash up on the shore around 2008. But this is from the New York Times. The story began in July 23rd, 2008, with an article in the newspaper, the F-22 Raptor. Jenny Hewitt, 26, of Montauk, and 3 friends said they had found the creature on July 12th at the Ditch Plains Beach, 2 miles east of the district. Jenny Hewitt was quoted as saying, "We were looking for a place to sit when we saw some people looking at something. We didn't know what it was. We joked that it maybe was something from Plum Island." She was right. All joking aside, if you look at the geography of everything and where this place is at in Plum Island and the way currents and stuff work, yeah, I mean, there's every indication that it came from Plum Island. Like, where else would an animal like this come from, right? And so it goes on to say that the Montauk Monster is said to be an escaped animal from the Plum Island facility. Some even think the creature to the Chupacabra, I can't say that right, what is it? Chupacabra. And a widespread theory proposes that these creatures are in fact genetic monstrosities created in the lab by your U.S. government. The island has a reputation for generating mutants and monsters and just about every creepy crawler out there. I would not be shocked, guys, if a facility just like this, somewhere in the United States, created Bigfoot. And I know that sounds far-fetched, right? I know that sounds really crazy, and I kind of lean to the Nephilim tendency when it comes to Bigfoot. I kind of think it's Nephilim, but I could see our government experiment like that and creating some kind of monster and then releasing it out into the wild. If they're going to do that with ticks, right, with Lyme disease, why would they not do that with something like this? On January 15th, this gets even stranger, guys. This gets weird. On January 15, 2010, a body of a male washes up on the shore of Plum Island, New York. The story from the New York Times: a human body was washed ashore on New York's tiny Plum Island, where the U.S. government labs study dangerous and animal diseases. Police say a security guard discovered the body clothed Thursday afternoon on the island's southwest beach area where access is restricted. Police on Long Island said the autopsy determined a partially decomposed body was that of a black male, about 6 foot tall. Now listen to this. This gets really strange. Large build and very long, mutated fingers. I couldn't find any pictures of this, but this was in the New York Times. It also says that there were no signs of trauma that could cause the death, but the body also had 5 large holes drilled into the head, showing signs of experimentation. Now, if that doesn't keep you up at night, I don't know what will. I've seen some crazy stuff in law enforcement. I mean, I've seen some nutty stuff, but I've never seen anything like this. But our government, man, our government does some crazy, crazy stuff. The story just gets better. The area, and it's often called, and I could see why, the Area 51 of the East Coast. Now, guys, listen to me. Listen up. This can affect your life, okay? This right here is the worst part of this story for me. So you need to listen up. You need to pay attention. Finish this podcast. I promise you will want to do so. The Area 51 of the East Coast will be replaced by a new lab in America's heartland. You know where? You know where they're doing this? They've already broke ground for this. The National Bio and Agro Defense Facility, the NBAF, a $1.25 million project by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, is going to be located in Manhattan, Kansas. Now, I'm in Arkansas. Kansas is not that far. What scares me about that, there's one of the largest water sources in the U.S. right close to there. And if you're in the middle of the country, if a disease breaks out, it has a chance to spread everywhere. I don't understand why they're putting this facility on the mainland. There's plenty of places they could put this, but why? You have to ask, why are they putting this in the mainland, the heartland of America? It makes no sense, especially in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. The new facility will focus on biosafety level agriculture, BSL 3AG research on dangerous livestock diseases such as African swine fever and foot and mouth disease, and will focus on level 4 research. The old one was level 3. Now, I don't know what that means, but I do know that level 4 is rated higher than 3. I didn't go into this too much. I didn't have to. All I know is this is worse. They're going to have worse things here, and they're putting it in the heartland of America. They're going to be researching deadly pathogens that are zoonotic pathogens and can be transmitted by animals to humans, for which no treatment is available. Now, this is facts, guys. You can look this information up. This is happening in America today, and nobody's talking about it. I don't understand it. When the construction is complete, for the very first time since 1929, the live FMD virus will once again be reintroduced to the United States mainland. Now, that's the foot and mouth disease. It is the most highly infectious animal disease presently known to clove-footed animals such as cattle, swine, sheep, and deer. Nearly 100% of the animals exposed to this disease die. Why would the government want to put that right in the heartland of America? You have to ask yourselves that. It's really, really, really creepy. To accommodate the DHS request to bring the live FMD virus to the mainland, Congress first had to change the U.S. law that restricted the use of live FMD viruses to coastal islands since the 1950s. All U.S. research of the FMD was conducted at Plum Island disease, where it was off the coast of America. If something happened, an outbreak like they've already had, it was outside the coast, right? So in theory, it's maintained. But no, they're gonna bring it to the heartland of America. This really ticks me off. In order to do this, here's another staggering fact for you if you're not shocked already. You know what the cost is to move the facility? $1.25 billion to get this thing up and running, and to maintain it every year, $60 million. That's how much of your tax money is going to be going to fund this facility, to build this facility. The ground is already broke and is coming to the heartland. Scares the crap out of me. Those are just some of the facts about Plum Island. I don't really have anything else to say about this except for I'm really terrified about it. If you have any thoughts or you want to jump on the podcast and talk about a mystery, talk about Plum Island, something else that maybe not on my radar, it doesn't have to be Bigfoot related. It can be any kind of mystery. Reach out to me at video@jscreativear.com. I hope you're enjoying these podcasts, and we will talk to you in the next episode. I hope you can sleep tonight, and I'll say it like I say in these episodes, stay prayed up. We'll talk to you soon.